At retirement, your whole financial life essentially collapses down to one binary question. It is, of course, will your money outlive you, or will you outlive your money? This raises two challenges. The first one is having enough money to be able to retire comfortably. And the second is having enough money to be able to stay comfortably retired. To be clear, when I talk about retirement, I'm talking about financial independence, the choice of whether you go to work or not. And this, the financial independence means something different to each of us, but I'm using the term retirement for ease of explaining the concept of no longer needing to earn money to fund your lifestyle. In this video, I'm going to talk about what you need to know to answer that question of whether your money will outlive you or you will outlive your money. There are three main things to understand. Firstly, you need to estimate how long you're going to live. Not so easy. Secondly, you need to understand the impact of inflation on your money. And thirdly, you can calculate, or as best you can, what the return on your retirement savings will be and how to get the return that you need. Those things will give you a number, your number, the amount of money you need to retire comfortably and stay comfortably retired. You'll then be in a great position to answer the essential retirement question of whether you will outlive your money or it will outlive you. Let's take a look at longevity. Even if you're not preparing for a 3-decade retirement, a 3-decade retirement is most likely preparing for you. The average retirement age in the UK is around 62. The average joint life expectancy, that's the age at which the second person will die, for a non-smoking 62-year-old couple is 92. Welcome to modern retirement. Now, what you can see in this slide is that 92 is at the top of the bell curve. And as I mentioned, that's the average life expectancy for a 62-year-old couple retiring today. There's a 50% chance of one of you still being alive at 92. But the average, or the mean, is just that. It's an average. So half the 62-year-old non-smoking couples are going to die before reaching 92, and half of them are going to live longer. If you've been healthy so far and have had the opportunity of living a good life without too many hardships, you may not be that average. You cannot count on having the average two-person retirement, and I think you have to at least conceive of the idea that you're going to live longer, possibly beyond 100. Whilst that's great news, it means that you need to plan for how you will secure an income that will sustain your lifestyle for more than the average 30 years. Longevity is great if we're living healthier for longer, but you need to plan for longer than ever before to be sure your money outlives you. One way to work out how long you're likely to live is to use the life expectancy calculator on the Office for National Statistics website. I'll put a link in the description below. Remember to also estimate how much you think you will need to fund your retirement. Will it be the same as your current income, or will some costs disappear? Maybe you've paid off your mortgage, and maybe as you get older that you might want to travel less, so spend less on holidays. But in your early retirement years, those kind of costs may go up as you take advantage of having more freedom to do all the hobbies and travel that you wish to do. So try to work out what income you need coming in to meet your expenditure. So far, that all sounds quite straightforward. You know how much income you need each year and how long you might live. But let's not forget the impact of inflation. Do you know what inflation is today? You probably do, because it's been all over the newspapers in the recent months. In February 2022, it hit 6.2%, the highest rate in 30 years. The average inflation rate in the past 52 years since I was born has been 5.7% in the UK. In the last 20 years, we've had lower inflation, but it is been picking up at the moment. And who knows what the future inflation rate will be. But to work out what your number is, we need to make an estimate. One way to do that is to work out what a £100 basket of goods will cost in 30 years' time. So even at a 3% inflation rate, if you take £100 to the supermarket today, in 30 years' time, you'll need to take £248 to buy the same basket of goods. So there's problem number 2. Whether you're still accumulating your retirement savings or already spending them, the ravages of inflation will seriously impact what your money will buy in the future. It becomes pretty obvious that you need an increasing income due to inflation as the real value of your money decreases over time. We need to maintain your buying power. Which brings us to the conclusion that a fixed income in retirement cannot be the answer. Too many people make the mistake of not factoring in the rising cost of living to their income needs. They may buy a level annuity and it's a fixed income throughout the period of their retirement. Let's say that you had worked out that your cost of living will be £20,000 a year in retirement, and you may think an income of £30,000 a year would be sufficient, but your cost of living will outpace that income by year 14. That's where these two lines cross. You need to have a plan for getting your retirement savings to a level whereby the income they produce can reliably be forecast to go up, those 2.4 times during your 30-year retirement, to meet those rising income needs. So where historically have we found that level of rising income, I hear you ask? Well, the answer is owning companies and not lending to them. That means buying shares. Let me explain. Owning companies, by investing in the companies of the world, the great companies of the world, you have generally seen increasing values over the longer term, especially over the 20, 30-year retirement years that I'm talking about. When it comes down to short-term cash flow, I would always suggest that you hold money on deposit in bank accounts, etc., that type of thing. But for the long term, the returns that we've seen historically have come from owning shares. We know that savings rates are at an all-time low, and you'll struggle to get any return on cash savings. Instant access accounts, the best rates at the moment, I think 1.5%. I say this in April 2022. And, they have been creeping up, but it's still significantly below the inflation numbers. So where can you invest? Well, in kind of liquid investments, we've got bonds, we've got fixed income, we've got equities, and of course we've got cash. So cash is really suitable for short-term money that you need access to. And I would think that really for anyone in retirement would need to have 2 to 3 years worth of their cash need just in the building society if possible. We can then talk about bonds or fixed income. This is when we lend money to governments of the world called gilts, or we lend money to the corporations, and they will pay a fixed coupon in return for that investment. And finally, we can then invest in equities, where historically you've seen greater returns over the long term. Of course, all investments come with a risk. Even cash in the building society comes with a risk as you are lending it to that financial institution. Yes, in the UK, you are protected by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme, but you've also got the risk of inflation and, what is the actual return that you're going to get. It is suitable, but build a strategy involving all the major asset classes. I'm a great fan of investing in equities for the long term. They can be volatile, they can move up and down in value, but historically have provided a great return against inflation, as I say, over that 20-30 year retirement period. Most pension funds allow you access to these different asset classes, and you can also put other things in, such as property, commercial property, within those pension investment funds. As I mentioned, the asset class that I'm a great fan of, that consistently delivered growth ahead of inflation, is owning companies and not lending to them. Once you are convinced about investing, you need to do it appropriately, and one factor to consider is diversification. Let's just take a look at what the world stock market looked like in December 2020. Diversification is your friend, and this is what the world looked like in stock market terms. Look at the US. It accounts to 57% of the global stock market, with 3,655 listed companies. Apple alone is 3.6% of the global stock market, with a valuation then of £1.7 trillion. Look at the UK, accounting for just 4% of the global stock market, just a bit bigger than Apple. Many of the portfolios that I've asked to review have a significant percentage invested in the UK. This is what was called as home bias, where we perhaps feel more comfortable investing in companies and markets that are more familiar. But it's not good for taking advantage of the global stock market. So that's an overview of the investing landscape. We know that we need to, historically, we know to invest in the stock markets, but what level of growth could you expect? As I mentioned, I'm 52 years old. So if you took £1 from the year I was born, 1970, it needs to be worth £17 now to just have kept up with inflation. If I'd left it in a cash savings account, my pound would be worth £27 today, so it's beaten inflation, largely due to the high interest rates we experienced in the 1980s. In recent years, cash savings have given you a lower return than inflation due to the really low interest rates that we've had. However, if I'd invested my pound into the world index, those great companies of the world, my pound would be worth £235 today. That's a compound or annualised return of 11%. Now that hasn't come in a straight line, that's not 11% every year, but that's the annualised return that I would have received if I was looking at my investment 52 years later. Obviously, investing comes with risks. Investments can go up as well as down, down as well as up. But over the long term, historically, they've given you a great return. Thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. I'm Justin King. I'm a chartered and certified financial planner. My aim is to help people live successful lives. That often involves understanding your money. If you've enjoyed this video, please press the like button to help more people like you find my channel. For now, I'm Justin King, helping you live your best life.